17 News is your local election headquarters. The election ballot you will see this November just got a little bit longer. That's because state lawmakers have officially qualified two new measures asking voters to allow the state to borrow billions of dollars for climate and schools. Our Capitol correspondent Eitan Wallace joins us with a closer look at the proposals and reports on the drama that went down in the Assembly chamber when protesters got in.
Well, indeed, there was a lot of drama inside the state capitol as protesters against the Israel-Hamas war got in. But lawmakers carried on with business as usual, qualifying two new major measures set to appear on your ballot. This was the scene inside the State Assembly chamber on the eve of the 4th of July holiday. In the second-story Assembly gallery, about 15 protesters got in, calling for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war and an end to support for the State of Israel. At one point, the situation could be seen getting physical between protesters and Assembly sergeants. The scuffle was quickly broken up, but protesters remained. In a twist, several lawmakers from both sides of the aisle united in their response, drowning out the protesters by singing the Star-Spangled Banner. Despite the disruption from up above, the legislature did carry on with its business.
All those vote who desire to vote.
Lawmakers officially qualifying two measures for the upcoming ballot. The first, a $10 billion climate bond, and the second, a $10 billion education bond. If approved by voters, the climate bond would fund several projects surrounding safe drinking water, drought and flood resiliency, coastal erosion, wildfire prevention, and forest management.
If approved in November, this funding will be a really important step in our efforts to adapt our communities, to adapt our entire state to the realities of climate change.
As for the $10 billion education bond, it will fund new public schools and school facilities and make upgrades to decades-old buildings on public K-12 and community college school campuses, something supporters say the state otherwise would not be able to afford as it faces a multi-billion-dollar deficit.
We will not have the money for school construction if we don't do this. This is for a number of years and is an investment in our future, in our schools, in our education system, in jobs. Each of us should go to the voters and tell them this is a good investment, and in November they should make it.
While some Republicans did vote to qualify the bond measures for the upcoming ballot, many did not, arguing the proposals are irresponsible fiscal policy because bonds require the state to borrow money and pay it back with interest at a later date.
This bond and the other bond that we passed today will add $20 billion to our state debt.
But in the end,
Ayes 16, noes 5.
Lawmakers overwhelmingly voted to qualify both bond measures. That means they now will appear on your November 5th ballot. And as for those demonstrators, they eventually left when the legislative session adjourned. There were no injuries and no arrests. Reporting at the state capitol, Eitan Wallace, 17 News.